Hello and welcome to Black Bear Atheist. Today we're reacting to another one of video by Brian Holdsworth. The case for modest clothing. Apparently he knows exactly what we need to wear and why we need to wear them. So let's hear him out.
There's this cultural exchange that has become something of a platitude in the world we live in. We imagine it happening all over the world. We wish for the moment that we might be able to participate in it ourselves. We've seen it in sitcoms and movies and comic strips and maybe even our textbooks. It's this scenario where a disagreeable middle-aged male objects to the way that some younger, innocent female is dressed and resorts to the kind of dialogue that only a cliche would. He says, "You should cover up." And the rejoinder that we all know to expect is something like, if you don't like it, you shouldn't look. Boom, mic drop, high fives. Everyone celebrates and then walks away self-satisfied that the real villain in this story has been exposed for who he is. And there was a time in my life where I would have found this interaction.
Yeah, I'm sorry people. I just don't know even what to react to this. This is just him going on a dumb rant. What are you even saying? Who is looking forward to this? I guess people have nothing else to do with their life but to look forward to the time where a old bozo told them to cover up. Or woman, or it's bozo in general, men, women, or non binary, to cover up. Because that's what people do.
Convincing, persuasive as a way of drawing my own conclusions about the way that people should dress in public. But as I see its effects in the world take shape, I'm becoming less and less persuaded by it. And it's important to understand that this kind of scenario, real or imagined, isn't merely an exchange between two individuals. This is a question of societal norms and which are best for society. And this is something that I've been feeling the weight of more and more, because there's something in that scripted exchange that I think most of us can agree on, which is that you shouldn't look at a stranger like that. Nobody should have to worry or be fearful of the wandering eyes of strangers when they're out in public, and strangers shouldn't let their eyes wander to visions of intimacy with people that they aren't intimate with. But if societal norms are such that it's normal or even expected that some, especially young and attractive women, should embrace their sexuality by dressing in revealing clothing, then that ends up restricting the freedom of those who do not wish to be participating in that expression of sexuality.
Just don't look. I mean, it's not really that difficult. Just don't look. If you don't agree with the idea, then okay, you could talk to your family members to not participate. But who gives a fuck whether you agree or not? They have the freedom to dress as they want to dress. I guess the unaccepted would be like, being nudist and just walking everywhere. That would be like crazy. But you could dress however you want. Just put on a clothes.
Again, we agree for the most part. I think that strangers shouldn't be looking at other strangers like that. And since I'm one of the people who agrees with that, when I'm out in public, I do my best not to look at and make assessments of other people's bodies. But I'm finding it increasingly difficult to do that through no fault of my own. Because if everyone, or at least a significant portion of people, are dressed in a revealing way, especially now that it's summertime again, when I go to a public event in which there are crowds of people, I find myself averting my eyes in every direction that I might want to look, only to get to the point where I feel like there's nowhere left to look. Unless I want to be staring at the ground, there isn't much point in going to crowded places. In other words,
Okay. Then wear sunglasses or something. Look at your phone. You could do literally anything, or leave the place if it's so not to your standard. Again, if people dress however they want to dress, then let them do so. If you go to a beach and you expect people not to be wearing bikinis, men to not be in shorts and their shirt taken off, then I don't know what you expected to begin with. But nobody's just doing this randomly everywhere. People are not just wearing bikini to work. They're not wearing bikini on every occasion. But if you're going to a beach, then you expect that.
Other words, my freedom to simply be out in public and to try to enjoy the thing that I went out to enjoy, like a concert, a day at the beach, or the rodeo, or the fair, or something like that, is now an exercise in finding the slivers of geography where my eyes can rest without seeing body parts that I didn't ask to see. We talk about freedom of thought, freedom of religion.
Hold on, these people did not ask to see your face. Here they are looking at your dumb face. Okay, that's too harsh. But to the point, they still have to see you, even though they didn't choose to see you. So that's something you're gonna have to just suck up and deal with. You have freedom to not look, but they have also have the freedom to dress how they want. Your freedom should not be limiting theirs, neither should theirs be limiting you. At the end of the day, you could still stop looking. I mean, do you want them to cover their faces? If you can't stop looking at their body parts, even though that's a sin, if you can't stop looking at their body parts, then look at their faces. If that's also something you don't want to do, then cover your eyes. That's an option. Because again, you are taking an offense to something that's not an offense. So, deal with it.
Freedom of speech, freedom of mobility as intrinsic rights. But what about the freedom to be able to open your eyes and not have someone else's attempt at making a provocative statement about their body imposed on your field of vision? Because that's what this is, by the way, and that's what makes this whole mentality so incoherent. To insist on pushing the boundaries of revealing clothing is to do something provocative, and to act provocative is, by definition, an attempt to gain attention for yourself. But then to insist that people aren't allowed to give attention where it is being asked for is to insist on a contradiction. It's to insist that
The the way he's talking is even making me get annoyed. We're talking about people wearing revealing clothes. There's no need to be, oh, the way the contradiction is to be insisting on. There's no need to complicate the matter. If you don't like it, then don't look. It is that simple. And it's not hard to compliment people if they look good. Just admit they look good and move on with your life.
the whole world be arranged in exactly the way we want it to be able to do what you want and have everyone respond to your choices in the exact way you want them to. Well, the problem with that is that our choices have consequences, and they tend to create reactions in other people, whether we like those reactions or not. If we don't like those reactions and the choices that we are making that create those reactions are unnecessary choices, why are we making them except out of disregard for our neighbors? The trick for us as a community and
Yeah, I don't like the clothes that you're wearing. It's just, it's limiting my right to look at a clothes that actually looks good. And your haircut, and literally everything about this video. So, it doesn't make sense, people. People have the right to wear what they want.
as a society is to find ways to live together that are mutually agreeable and considerate. But if we now find ourselves with a societal norm that encourages all manner of dress, which results in most young women dressing provocatively, that means for people
Are we all really surprised that it's gonna lead to young women, even though I've literally seen men go half naked outside, play basketball, do bunch of things half naked, up to 30% of their body covered. I have seen that, no problem. But once the women wear a bikini, all of a sudden everyone is falling to the ground. We can all of a sudden keep our, you know what, in our pants. All of a sudden we can't control ourselves. Get over yourself.
like me who don't want to be staring or even looking at said women, I predominantly
Then don't stare. What? You have the freedom to stare or not stare. Actually, I don't think you have the freedom to stare. That would be weird. If you're okay with being weird and labeled as a pervert, then please go ahead.
Prominently now have to spend my time staring at the ground when I'm out in public, and I don't think that that's fair. Frankly, I think that that's a restriction on my freedom. My freedom to look around and to be comfortable in the world and to enjoy the experiences of going out into public are taken away by those who want to be revealing while not having that revelation indiscriminately consumed by strangers. I've also spoken in the past about how such
Again, that's dumb. You're taking away my freedom to look at a good clothes by wearing that shit that you're wearing and with that beard and that hairstyle. It doesn't make sense, people. If people want to color their hair, wear makeup, wear dresses, wear pants, you should not be limiting them with your right. This is just stupid. People should have the right to wear whatever they want to wear. And if you don't like it, you can move on with your life and live your life. If you do like it, you could send a compliment, not in a weird way, and move on with your life. This doesn't have to be a crazy topic.
revelation is an act of intimacy. Intimacy means that there are certain people and certain relationships in your life that are exclusive, that these are people that are allowed to know you in an exclusive and a privileged way that makes that relationship special. But to have exclusive, intimate, and special relationships means to reserve something of yourself for only those relationships, and your sexuality is obviously a candidate to be one of those things that you reserve, again, just for those intimate relationships. This means that you have something of your physical intimacy for only certain relationships, and I would say ideally just for one relationship. But if you fail to do that, if you fail to reserve some aspect of your sexuality for the exclusivity of those intimate relationships, then you are diminishing your ability to have true intimacy. If you share intimacy,
Says who? Because that's not actually true. If you're actually able to go around, date people, get to know more people, then you will find your match better. Instead of just settling down or getting bought like, the Old Testament and your parents just selling you.
with everyone, then it isn't intimate. It will never be special because it's not exclusive. While revealing and provocative dress is a lot like that, it's an example of you giving an intimate knowledge of yourself away to people who haven't earned it, and in cases like mine, to people who don't want it. I don't want to have an intimate awareness of other people who I have no intention and no ability to spark up a relationship with. I have my wife and my family and my friends who I enjoy varying degrees of intimacy.
Then stare at your wife and not other people. It's really not that hard. And also, if anyone hasn't get the hint that this is all literally talking to women, then you get the hint that this is all just talking to women. Because in this society, men can do basically, again, go outside half naked. I've seen people run around in a. I've seen people run around, men run around, literally half naked, and go for a long run. That is apparently allowed. That is supposed to be okay. But women in a bikini, oh, the devil, the devil. Like, shut up.
With. And when I'm out in public, I'd rather not have someone else's sexuality imposed on me, such that I again have to avert my eyes in every direction. In a way, that's a form of sexual harassment. And if you disagree with me, put the shoe on the other foot for a second. Imagine if I dressed in booty shorts and a crop top and went strutting around the mall such that you had to walk behind me. Well, that's a scenario that is pretty difficult to avoid and probably something you wouldn't have asked for. Imagine
Yeah, that's not sexual harassment in any shape or form. And also, if you end up wearing that and I see you, I would just ignore you. And, like, if I don't like it, I will ignore it. If it's not hurting people, then I will ignore it. And it's not. You have the freedom to wear what you want to wear. You do.
Imagine if I did something like wear a thong to the beach and then lay my towel out in front of you and begin sunbathing right in front of your field of vision. That
Then, if I don't like it, again, I will move. Or I'll ask you if you can kindly cover up. And if that's not okay by you, there's another option. It's called moving.
would be a sexual encounter with me that you didn't ask for. And imagine if after acting that
It's really not a sexual encounter. You just don't like it.
way, if I was the one making all the decisions and impositions upon you, you have to suffer the added discomfort of the potential threat of me accusing you of objectifying me for looking in my direction. How absurd and unreasonable, and yet that's the world and these are the societal norms
Again, if you haven't figured it out, this is all about women.
that we seem to be stuck with and that I find myself contending with when I want to go out to public, like to the hardware store or even church sometimes. And I haven't even brought up the fact that since we're talking about public behavior, many such interactions necessarily involve children. In my case, that's a particular concern because I'm responsible for my own children and their health and comfort and welfare when they're out in public. If you don't want to be having sexual encounters with strangers who don't necessarily have your best interests at heart and can't be expected to enjoy that intimacy without any of the obligations that typically comes along with intimacy, then there's a simple, easy solution to all of this, which is that we should all dress modestly. It's way more comfortable. It doesn't come with any of this absurd incoherence.
Way more comfortable, says who? You? What if it's not comfortable for anybody else? What you're wearing right now seems extremely uncomfortable for me. I will probably lose myself. I will lose myself if I'm to wear that. Whatever you're wearing, it seems stuffy. It probably is.
It allows us to get on with what it is that we are trying to do when we go out in public, and it protects.
No, it really doesn't. And I have watched very few. I'm on Instagram, and I've watched very few reels of Muslim women covering up literally every part of their body, going to the gym and lifting weight. And I'm gonna be plain about this. You could still see everything, in a sense. You could still see the shape. You could still see the body. If they're not covering up their face, you could still see their face. So you can sexualize things that are not even supposed to be. It's all about you and where your head is at. If your head is just to see everything as sexual and infringing on your, right to not be, to not be sexually assaulted because people are doing what they have the right to do, wearing the clothes that they like, then of course that's what you're going to see. But that says more about you than the person. It says more about you than the people you're even talking about. So again, you could decide not to look, you can move, you could do a lot of things. But saying it's wrong or saying it's infringing on my rights, it's a right violation and it's a sexual harassment, you're literally just saying shit.
Protects the exclusivity of intimacy in your intimate relationships. Otherwise, what signifies the significance of the significant other?
Yeah, that's for you to decide and not for you to decide for everyone else. That's for you to decide for you and your wife. If that's what signifies for you and your wife, then go ahead and be modest. Also cover up your face. This is just more of religious bullshit of telling women how to act, how to behave, what to wear, what to not to wear. But leaving men out of it, because let's face it, this is a patriarchal system. The entire Bible is written for men, and it was quite clear on this. Men were created first, then women from men. You can go read this in the Bible. They were not created equally, they were not meant to be equal. And the Bible, again, was clear on this. Paul in the New Testament clarified this and pointed out that women are to dress modestly. The Bible is full of patriarchal shit, which I'm not surprised, because the Bible isn't special. That's all I have for you today. That's all I can take of Brian for a day. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. Have a lovely day.